Random thoughts. In this video, I'm going to continue reading part of Douglas Jardine's book, The Mad Mullah of Somaliland, where he tells us about the story of Corfield and him not following instructions that were given to him. Jardine, of course, was the British colonial administrator in British Somaliland from 1916 to 1921. And the book is about the dervish wars that were fought between 1899 to early 1920s. And these are wars that were led by one Mohammed Abdullah Hassan. Now, in the previous video, we looked at a letter that was sent to Corfield, giving him instructions that he should not try to engage or attempt to engage the dervishes. He should limit his operations within a very small area in Burao. Now, let's see what happened. July passed without incident, although rumors of coming dervish activities persisted. Early August, the acting commissioner, apprehensive of the advanced position of the constabulary and with an eye anxiously watching the gathering storm clouds in the east, left Berbera and proceeded to Burao to discuss the situation with the commandant. Now, the commandant here is Corfield. Immediately on his arrival on the 6th August, their key leaders of the tribe besieged him with entreaties and prayers for the immediate reoccupation of the interior and the assistance of government troops in the event of dervish aggression. So he goes there and the local leaders tell him, we need the British to come back. And I've discussed this in another video that the British were fueling local conflict so that the local people would, of course, tell them to come back. Without such help, they maintained their annihilation at the hands of the dervishes will soon be complete. Within the 48 hours of the acting commissioner's arrival, a report was received that the dervishes were severely raiding the district between Idoweina and Burao, their operations extending to within 2 or 3 miles of Ber. In view of the fact that the dervishes had not penetrated so far for many a long day, it seemed almost certain that the report had been concocted by their kills to lend a point to their prayers and entreaties to which, in accordance with the policy of His Majesty's government, a deaf ear had perforce been turned. So, the acting commissioner receives reports while he's in Burao that the dervishes were raiding some parts nearby. But he thought it was not actually true. He thought that these were stories that had been concocted by the local leaders as a way to try to make the British bring back the military. To restore confidence and to ascertain the true position, whatever it might be, it seemed desirable to send out a mounted reconnoitering party under a British officer. And in response to the earnest representation of Mr. Corfield, the acting commissioner sanctioned the constabulary proceeding in the direction of Bear in order to watch development. So it is interesting. The acting commissioner is the one who had warned Corfield, but seems like he's also giving him instructions to go and check. Mr. Corfield was instructed to refrain in all circumstances from committing himself to an engagement with any considerable force of dervishes. Anyways, he tells him, you just go and investigate. But what you should not do is to engage the dervishes in a battle or a fighting. Should the dervishes be present in large numbers, he was to withdraw on Burao after obtaining all possible information of their movements. So he was sent on only one mission: go and collect information from about these movements. Captain G.H. Summers, 26 King George's Own Light Cavalry and Somaliland Indian contingent, who had commanded the acting commissioner's escort en route to Burao, was instructed to accompany the constabulary in order that he might be in a position to make a report on the general situation from the military point of view. He was not to interfere with the commandant dispositions, although it was understood that his advice on any of the military points would be available if required. Military action was not contemplated, and consequently orders were not given for Captain Summers to assume command. So Captain Summers seemed like was a senior of Corfield, but he was given instruction not to interfere, to just let Corfield be in charge. At 3 p.m. on 8th August, the Camel Constabulary moved out of Burao at the following strength: Commandant Mr. R.C. Corfield, Assistant Commandant Mr. C.D.S. Dunn, temporarily attached Captain G.H. Summers, rank and file 109 people, men, and followers 7. Maybe this could be people doing other stuff. Armed with a single loading 303 mh carbines, they are carried 150 rounds of ammunition per man with a reserve of 60 rounds each in their saddlebags. For the Maxim gun, 400 rounds were carried. The force marched southeast towards Ber, and on the road, retreating tribesmen reported that the dervishes in large numbers, under the command of Yusuf bin Abdullah Hassan, the mullah's brother, having raided and pillaged in all directions, were withdrawing the looted stock in direction of Idowina, 30 miles southeast of Burao, which they had made their rendezvous. So, seems like this party of dervishes, led by the brother of Muhammad Abdullah Hassan, they had looted the surrounding land. Seems like they were going away. So, if Corfield had followed the instructions given to him, he should have just collected information from these people who were escaping and written a report. That's all he needed to do. But seems like he decided to do more than that. And there's a part where Jardine does actually explain why he thinks Corfield decided to do that, mostly out of ego. He continued. At 7 p.m., the force was huddled 11 miles northeast of Idowina, and here 15 men of the constabulary, mounted on ponies who had been sent on ahead, confirmed the news which had been received on the road. They had exchanged shots with the dervishes, whose strength they estimated at over 2,000 footmen, all armed with rifles, and 150 horsemen. At 8 p.m., the constabulary moved slowly on again. At 9 p.m., they halted for the night within 4 miles of Edowina. As a river was made, and the constabulary were formed up in a column of section within the Maxim, gun mounted and ready for action on the left front, and the camels in the center. So they move. It's night. They decide to camp. All military precautions were taken to guard against a night attack. From the enemy camp, occasional shots were heard throughout the night, and the African sky, radiant with a myriad stars, was aglow with the reflection of the dervish campfires. The constabulary were joined by some 300 Dolba Hunter who were anxious to recover their lost stock from the dervishes, and some ammunition from the precious reserve was distributed to them. So Corfield, he has like 100 and something men. He's then joined by 300 Dolba Hunter, who he then gives guns and armament, or he arms them. At 10 p.m., Corfield consulted Summers as to whether it would be preferable to make a night attack on the dervish camp at Edowina, or to wait till daybreak on the following morning and place his force across the dervish line of withdrawal towards Kirit and the Ain Valley. So Corfield is so interested in attacking, and it is night, but he still asks Summers, the guy who had been told to accompany him, whether it was a good idea to attack. In response, Summers reminded the commandant of his instructions and strongly advised him to content himself with making a reconnaissance of the dervish encampment, holding his camels in readiness for withdrawal on Burao, and leaving behind him patrols to give him early information of the dervish movements at dawn. So Summers tells him, remember the instructions. All we need to do is collect info. We don't need to engage them, just collect info, and we should be prepared to go back. He added that with the force of the Commandant disposal, there was no prospect, in his opinion, of carrying out a successful action against the dervishes. Cornfield was determined to operate, however, and decided to carry out his plan of cutting off the enemy's retreat early in the following morning, and about 10:30 p.m., he dispatched a message to the acting commissioner informing him of his decision. The idea of a night attack had been abandoned, for there was no chance of effecting a surprise, the enemy being well aware of the presence of the constabulary and on the Q Vive. Moreover, the constabulary was comparatively raw for a night attack, which is always difficult operation, especially when the attacking force is badly outnumbered. So Corfield is so keen on carrying out this attack. And he even sends a message to the acting commissioner just to inform him that he has decided to attack, even though he was given instructions that he shouldn't. Now, in the next video, we are going to see what happened during the attack. Those are my random thoughts.